Today is Monday, December the 5th. We're reading Esther 7 through 10 and Revelation chapter 3. Quickly coming up toward the end of the year now. We're in Revelation. It's going to go right through Revelation 22 at the end of the year. We're continuing our journey here and wrapping up Esther today. We've been reading this for a few days now in Esther, and I want to note that the book of Esther is named for Esther, but really it kind of begins with Mordecai. So King Xerxes and all of the things he did, but then Mordecai heard of a plot, and Mordecai begins to set things in motion a little bit. And then the book of Esther ends with Mordecai at the end. And I want to read just the last few verses to you because I really think there's a little glimmer of hope in here for you and for me and the things that we endure and we go through. At the end of Esther chapter 10, it's the whole chapter really, but it's only 3 verses long. It says King Xerxes imposed tribute throughout the empire to its distant shores, and all his acts of power and might, together with a full account of the greatness of Mordecai, whom the king had promoted, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Media and Persia? It says Mordecai the Jew, get this, Mordecai the Jew, who at the beginning of this event, this saga, was sitting outside somewhere, being ruled over by the people. It says Mordecai was second in command and ranked to King Xerxes, preeminent among the Jews, held in high esteem by his many fellow Jews because he worked for the good of his people and he spoke up for the welfare of all the Jews. A few things in there I want you to know. Mordecai at the beginning was nothing. Mordecai at the beginning was nothing, and his life was kind of defined by a miserable existence. It was nothing. But at the end, Mordecai is second in rank to the king in all the nation, all the land. I also want you to know this. Mordecai got there by the way he lived and the things he did. What did he do? It tells us right here in Esther. It says he worked for the good of his people. He spoke up for the welfare of all the Jews. See, Mordecai at the beginning didn't have anything. Anything he had could be taken from him at a moment's notice. But Mordecai at the end, Mordecai has whatever he wants. Now, this is not a tale of fortune and fame. It's a tale of faithfulness and commitment. See, Mordecai continued to be faithful. He was faithful in the beginning. He was faithful to honor his people. He was faithful to his family. He was faithful to the future. He was faithful to all these things without regard for what it might cost him. And he worked for the good of all the people, doing what he knew was right, regardless of what it cost him. And in the end, Mordecai was promoted to the rank of second in the entire nation. So what's the concept? What's the glimmer of hope here? The glimmer of hope, the way I see it, for you and for me, the glimmer of hope that we have is that when we are faithful today, God has a plan for us tomorrow. If we're faithful today, God has a plan for the future. If we faithfully are committed to serving God, His kingdom, and elevating the value of other people today, regardless of what it costs us, we are others-centered, not self-centered. Regardless of what it costs us, then we get to experience the plan of God tomorrow. We get to experience eternity with God eventually. We get to experience all of these things. You know, one of our values here at the church is the word faith. We say we believe big, but we start small. We believe big and we start small. It's one of our values, and it works like this. Mordecai, sitting on a sidewalk, believed big things. Believed that God was saying big things to him, calling him to big things, doing big things around him. And he started small. He spoke to some guards. He humbled himself when it probably wasn't what he wanted to do. He started small. And God did a big thing. He rescued all the Jews. He elevated Mordecai throughout the process. And I want to remind you that wherever you're at right now, even though it might feel humble, it might feel dissatisfying, It might feel uncomfortable. God has a plan for you today. And God has a plan for you tomorrow. But you got to believe big for later. Start small today. If you want to experience God's future plan, be faithful today. I don't know where you work, where you go to school, or what you do, but I want to encourage you, as you go today, be faithful in everything you do. Work for the good of other people. Love others, honor God, and serve the kingdom. Until I see you again, you are sent.